Yeah. All right. Cool. 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 So everything started. We're recording. Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? You are now tuned into this magical moment where Bill and Joe play games. I am Joe. That's Bill. You guys know Bill. Bill's what's up.
Hey guys, I'm Bill.
Hey, Bill. We're going to be doing this
Hey Bill.
stuff live through BGA. So, like, people right now could even potentially hop in because it's currently live on BGA on the Discord. Who knows what could happen? This is not the ideal recording setup, but we couldn't figure out how to make it where every time I did anything on BGA, it didn't give me this stupid warning that said, we are pausing your preview so that people could not see what you're doing and it was preserve your stuff. I don't know what it said. It was dumb. So this is not ideal, but it's gonna work because now you're gonna be able to see at least what I'm doing on my BGA, which is kind of odd and intimidating. And then you won't get to see anything that Bill's doing until it reflects on my screen. But whatever. What we wanted to do is just kind of create these live moments where we come in, we play some games on BGA, we talk about things that God is doing in our world and all that kind of stuff, and just have another piece to the puzzle of interaction and engagement. And so, like I said, we have no idea what we're doing. We'll figure this stuff out eventually. It's gonna get better. But Bill, I'm done talking, bro. How are you doing today?
Uh-huh. I'm good, man. Like now we get on Discord, we could have somebody just like I could set somebody up in a private chat. They could be giving me tips on what to do, right?
That's
So
that's
they
fine.
could your VGA screen, I can't,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they could kind of help me. And like I got an edge here, right? We were joking around when we came up with this idea, right? We're both kind of known in the space here of being the guy that loses,
Mhm.
right? So it'll be fun to just kind of when you take the two guys that always lose and they play games head to head, who's going to win, right? Like we're going to find a way to
Always
break
a
this because
tie.
we'll both lose. We'll tie all the time, yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, always excited to sit and talk about the way God's working through us, especially when we're at a table, whether virtual or otherwise. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a good thing, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can continue doing it weekly, and we'll get some people to drop in and kind of chat with us while we're doing it and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I just realized you were peaking rather heavy. I was not for some reason, so I'm coming back
Mhm.
up on my mic. But you were peaking pretty heavy. So hey, if you listen to that and all it sounded like what's going on, started, it's gonna be awesome. Ooh. Just
Yeah,
just bear with us.
I'm Bill, and I got a hot mic. That's what I've learned. So
I'm Bill, and I got a hot mic. Yeah.
yeah,
Dope. So, yeah, so we decided to start with Fliptoons because it's a super easy, simple game that we can probably play and chat at the same time. Although I always look at something in BGA and I have to remember like how to actually play it, which is always fun. But it is technically your turn where you get to hire or dismiss a tune card. So if you haven't played Fliptoons, y'all,
yeah.
this is a fantastic game, by the way. I think.
Season 2 coming out at Gen Con, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually just pre-ordered it, which is cool. So I didn't want
yeah.
to try
We're
to.
picking up. I've got some friends that are going to be at Gen Con. They're going to pick up a couple copies for us. They're going to bring it back to Gen Con happening the week before my Christian board game retreat. So we'll be able
Yes.
to get those back and have them on the tables for people to play and check out. And I think we're going to bring a copy back to give away and just have
Okay.
some fun with it. So
Yeah. Let's talk about your retreat here a
that's
little bit while you're taking your turn. So this way I can distract
yeah.
you.
Well,
So
I'm
so you were
yeah
saying
trying to distract me.
that's my strategy, right? Because we're both gonna tie. It won't matter anyway.
Yeah,
It dinged and said it's your turn, Joe. So what do I
yeah.
want
It's
to
your
do?
turn, Joe.
Man. Well, so with your retreat, like, talk about it a little bit. Like, obviously, you and I have had conversations about Christian board gaming retreats and all that kind of stuff with the
Mhm.
Game Changer and all that. And so, talk to the people about what you're doing.
Yeah, man. Like I was inspired. Like you do Camp Living Waters and Game Changer retreats and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I want to figure out how to kind of combine those things in my world, right? Like I run Meeple-a-thon in Kansas City, very large convention, very big convention. And it really speaks to kind of what Love Thy Nerd does, where you're out there in nerd culture, right? Just a whole group of people from all kinds of different walks of life. But I'm always intrigued by like how can I get more involved with just being a Christian gamer, right? And how do I bring Christians to the table together where we can sit together and look at things? And this kind of got born from that, and it was like how do we take a look at that? So My wife works at a high school in central Missouri. Well, I guess western Missouri. It's called St. Paul Lutheran High School. It's one of the last boarding high schools in America. So kids live on campus and go to school there. A lot of international kids come and live on campus and go to school there. It's very cool. It's middle of nowhere, Missouri, 2,000 people in the town, right? But we've got this mix of culture from all over the world, which is amazing. But because of that, there's this basic college campus sitting there with a conference center and things like that that we can utilize. So I went to him and I said, "Hey, can I have the conference center for a weekend in August?" And we found a weekend that worked before school started, so my wife was okay with it. And we did. We just kind of reserved the building. There's 30 hotel rooms in the building, and then there's two large conference rooms and a smaller conference room downstairs, plus kind of some foyer area and stuff like that we can use. Um, so yeah, so we just kind of put it out there and said, "Hey, let's do a Christian board game retreat, and everybody can come in and talk to a couple of pastor friends of mine that agreed to come do some devotionals in the evenings with us. Talk to some local restaurants and that about what could we do to cater in some food for meals, and made it all inclusive, and just kind of came up with a price point to say this price gets you a room with 2 badges, 4 meals over the weekend, dinner on Friday and Saturday night, breakfast on Saturday and Sunday morning. We'll have a food truck come in for lunch on Saturday that it'll be on your own, right? But and then we've been slowly kind of building a game library. We'll borrow some from Meeple-a-thon as well for that. And then been building up door prizes. I got a ton of door prizes at this point. I think we're giving away 50 different board games right now. We've got an attendance that's just over 60, so you got real good odds of leaving with a game.
Yeah. Now you just got to leave with the game you want.
Lucky Duck did send us a bunch of games to make sure that everybody will leave with at least one game from them. So we're putting together some swag bags and stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great time, and really looking forward to being at the table with everybody, but also getting that devotional time with everybody. I came up and went to Grand Con with you, and we had Nerd Chapel on Sunday morning, and I thought that was amazing that we were able to be in that space and just stop and worship for a little bit, right? So being able to have that devotional time and together and kind of sit together and get to know each other, and it's been great. Like, I've even been meeting people virtually, right? Like, I've had people emailing me that want to come. We've got people coming from Minnesota, Iowa. I think there's a pretty good sized group coming from Illinois, Kansas, and Nebraska, right? So so I mean, just do something kind of small and intimate out there, and all of a sudden, I've got people that are really excited to do it, and I'm excited to do it. So I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, love it, dude. I gotta tap into your door prize stuff, man. That's something that we do giveaways at Game Changer. Not as hefty as that, right? We usually do 4 or 5 giveaways on the last day or whatnot, and so. But I love the idea of getting that many games. One of the things that we're definitely stealing from you is the tournaments, and so I'm going to be tapping into a couple publishers, see if I can get some copies of some games for the fall so we can run some tournaments. I'd actually love to do a Fliptoons tournament and an Unmatched tournament, and then be able to give some things away that way, and so looking forward to trying to do some of that stuff. But yeah, no, dude, I think it's sweet, bro, and I know that again, it's definitely got legs, bro. I mean, selling that many rooms right now, I think is just a fantastic mark for your first time doing it.
Yeah,
That's stellar, bro.
we were talking just before we came on. We've got 30 rooms available to us. We've sold through 25 of them at this point. So we've got 5 rooms still out there available. So if you're listening and you're on the fence, right, now's the time. Don't get locked out, right? So, but yeah, the tournaments are kind of fun. We wanted to do something really light. That came from a mutual friend of ours, Jeff Pritchett, right? Who designed, or his daughter designed Oopsie Poopsie, the card game. His daughter wanted to run something for me. She's like, "Can I run some kind of a tournament?" And she's really into this new game, just came out, called Logic and Lore. It's kind of this interpretation game where you're trying to predict what cards are in front of you, what numbers you have in front of you. It plays really quick. It's really easy to learn. We're like, this is perfect for that type of environment, because what we laid out was, when we laid out the tournaments, we basically laid out, there's a 30-minute session that you sign up for where they teach you, and you can sit and kind of practice and get a couple practice rounds in.
Yeah.
And then we do a 30-minute session with the first 8 people. We do 16 people total. First 8 people play their round. Then we do another 30-minute session where the next 8 people do their round. And then we do, a 30-minute semifinal and then the final. But it allows us to do it all with, roughly 2 to 3 copies of the game. We don't have to have just a ton of copies.
Yeah.
We could have a couple copies on the tables. Games like that are great for Unmatched is great too, right? Because it's quick to learn. It doesn't take real long to play, and I can teach you. And that's one of the things that I've learned with conventions is some of the better tournaments that you can run are not these like Arc Novas where the people that show up have to know how to play it. It's more, can I show you how to play it? And you've learned enough just learning how to play it to be able to figure it out and sit down and play in a tournament immediately, right? And have fun. So we're going to do Logic and Lore and Toy Battle. Yeah, another one where pretty quick to learn, head-to-head play, pretty easy to play, right? There's some strategy, but not heavy enough to discourage. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure. Toy Battle's great. Yeah, that's a great tournament game for sure. I mean, because it doesn't take long at all. Like, that game's done in 10, 15 minutes, like, tops, which is sweet, so...
Meanwhile, Fliptoons here is like, yo, dog, I hear you like dogs. Like,
yeah. That's all it is. I didn't like anything in the market, honestly. I probably chose poorly, but that's all right.
Just when you pay money to just dismiss things, and you're like, wait, I needed to buy something.
I ended up having a couple dismissed things.
Let's do this thing, maybe.
So,
see how that goes. Season 2 out on Fliptoons. It's actually... it's an alpha right now on BGA. If you're an alpha tester, you can jump into that. So
really nice. I
haven't really played with it yet. I don't know how it plays on BGA. I know in really real life, right? Like you can either play it as standalone or you could basically shuffle the decks together and play it that way. So
yeah, which is cool. That's a cool thing. Smart on their end. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
Not a big fan of dogs, but I like turkeys.
Man, so sorry, I got a little of this congestion jumping in, man. I'm in the thick of it, right? It's the summer, so basically went from Origins, where we were on mission with Love Thy Nerd. That was such a dope trip. I do want to talk more about that because it was a fun trip.
Definitely.
And then from there, had a little like few days off, and then shot off to Wisconsin to Youth for Christ camp, which was also fire. But again, it's just like I don't recover as quickly as I used to. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm 46, so like the recovery time in between, like I wasn't ready for Youth for Christ camp until like the day before. Like I'm already on the campground, and the students came the next day because we were like setting everything up, and I was like, I finally feel awake from Origins. Like I got back from Origins that Monday night, and I wasn't like ready to go until Saturday. I was like, oh my gosh. But it's also like, you come home and you're still out of rhythm because, you're doing late nights, early mornings, and then you got your family. And so like, the demands are different. And then, so you wanting to pour in, but I'm pouring out of an empty container here, but I'm giving it all I got. And then I went to YFC camp, and I think my body is just like, I have a lot of allergies, and it's that season. Everyone's mowing their lawn, which becomes like an enemy attack.
Yep.
So like, I definitely need to start rolling against it, but I guess I don't have the right dice, but I'm like, I am not beating it. It's kicking my butt. And so like the other day I was like, but I was like, you know what, Lord, thank you that I got through Origins, got through IFC camp. I'm getting set to speak at Camp Living Waters at their high school camp. I'll be there on Sunday. So I'm like, thank you, Lord, that it's happening now. It's better out than in, and I can be good to go by the time we hit Camp Living Waters on Sunday. And moving, so I'm like drinking way more vitamin C than I think I'm supposed to, and doing all that. But it was
and I hear you. Like, I'm allergic to outdoors, I say, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Grass, tree, pollen, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
My wife and I, we just got a chance to. We took a group of high schoolers from her school, and we went over to Scandinavia, right? Yes. And we were in Norway and Sweden and Denmark, and we had a great time. Great group of kids. Easiest chaperoning job I've ever done, right? Like a great group of kids that we got to go with. But we go over there, and I find out while I'm over there, I realize, one, we slept one night with the window open because there's no air conditioning, and we brought the Midwest heat with us for some reason. So Scandinavian people were miserable because it was humid and hot, and they just don't normally get that. So there's no air conditioning in hotels over there because it normally doesn't get hot enough to worry about it.
Yeah.
So at night we're sleeping with the window open. There's no screen on the window. Now I'm from Missouri, right? Like no screen on the window means I'm going to get eaten alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No bugs, right? Like there was no bugs flew in the window or anything. And I woke up in the morning feeling great. I'm like, I'm not allergic to Scandinavia. This is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
nothing over here bothering me. So I was over there for like a week and everything's great. I'm just living it up. And then we come back and I did two things wrong, right? Like I'll be 49 this year.
Yeah.
I'm learning the recovery thing too. I flew
Yeah.
back on Wednesday, went to work on Thursday.
Mm.
Don't do that,
Yeah.
right? Take a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about jet lag, man.
Yep.
That kicked me really good. And the second thing was when you're not when you're highly allergic, and then you go somewhere where you're not allergic, and then you come back, it's tenfold, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh, for
Big time.
days I was just
Yep.
like I was almost just swollen. I was
Yep.
so just reacting to my environment. I'm like, this is
Oh
horrible.
yeah.
So,
I'm allergic to dogs. Of course, we have dogs. My son and I are very similar. He and I are both allergic to cats, animals, all that kind of stuff. Man, it just jacks us up. But yeah, so I came back to my dogs instantly. I'm like,
yeah.
and so it's okay. It is what it is. But yeah, no, that's real. That's real. Cause yeah, I leave whenever I go on a trip. I tend to do fine with my allergies generally, and then I come back home and I'm like, but I take some supplements and some other things.
Why do I live where the air is trying to kill me? Right?
Yeah, right. But I don't think you can avoid it, man. Like here's the thing. Here's the payoff, bro. Like the turnaround. I don't want to go and live where there's like snakes bigger than my head. No, it's not snakes, spiders bigger than my head, bro. That can like eat you and like kill you instantly. And like and snakes and that are poisonous and all that. Like in Michigan, bro. Like yeah, we got some big spiders. They're like that. But like they're not tarantulas, they're not like death spiders. Like they'll suck if they bite you. It's something like
Sure.
you don't want to get bit by a brown recluse, and we do have some widows out here somewhere. But you really don't have a ton of that going on, right? Like it's usually you're just dealing with those black fuzzy jumping spiders, which aren't very fun if you don't like spiders. They look like tarantulas, but they're not, So it's like that's the payoff for me. I'm like, I'd rather have a runny nose than be in a place where I could get killed by walking outside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I'm not going to those places generally. Like, I don't want to sleep and wonder what could crawl out of my bed and eat me while I'm sleeping. Just not on my list of things I want to do. So it's like, I mean, that's okay. I was at camp and I was like praying. I was like, all right, Lord, like if you just want to keep your mosquitoes from me, if you want to keep these things from me, like you're sovereign over all this. So like, hey, if you want to just like handle that, bro. And honestly, like I think I got like 2 bug bites and had nothing in my room, no issues. I was like, praise the Lord, man. Like he just kept his.
Now I know. I'm just not praying hard.
That's
enough.
it, bro. He kept the creepy crawlies away, bro. I was like, let's get it. Like I was feeling that. So yeah, so Scandinavia and all that jazz. That pictures looked awesome. Looks like y'all were having a great time. What was like the bulk of that trip? Like again, I know you took some students over there, but what were they trying to accomplish? Like what was their goal?
It was really just a tour, right? Like we took
Okay.
them on tour. They do it every other year. My wife's school does an international tour in the summer that the kids can sign up and pay for and fundraise and go to. And this was the year that my wife got to lead it, so she got to choose where we went. She told me we were going to go to Scandinavia, and I said, why? Right? But because you think about going on an international tour, you think about, oh yeah, we'll go to London or we'll go to Paris or we'll go like Rome or something. Like all these places kind of pop out at you with like all these big touristy things to do. And she was like, yeah, we'll go to Norway and Denmark and Sweden. And I'm like, yeah. So, but once we got over there, absolutely gorgeous country. We got a chance to go see some. We were in Stockholm, Sweden, but our tour guide took us kind of off trip a little bit. Okay. He went off the itinerary and decided to take us up to an area called Sigtuna, which was one of the oldest establishments in that area, and we got to see some church ruins from like pre-10th century, like
wow, that's awesome.
9th century and stuff. Yeah, it was awesome. And got to learn a lot about how kind of the Viking culture that was there, and you could kind of see where the Viking culture and the Christian culture started coming together,
Okay.
and how those two things kind of lived side by side a little bit, and and seeing. We found a building that was built in the 1200s that was a church, but it was built by Vikings, and you could tell like just the architecture looked very much like a Viking ship,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then on the inside, you've got like they carved each beam. There was 12 beams, so they carved each of the apostles into the beams, right as they were starting to accept that Christianity movement and starting to
Wow.
see some of that and stuff. So it was interesting that through the architecture and the runes and stuff like that, that you could literally see these people accepting Christianity, right,
Yeah.
and kind of becoming Christian, and seeing that influence on their life, and how even in areas where you could tell maybe they weren't full believers, they were definitely at that point where it was like, well, I mean, we're not going to deny it, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not dumb enough to push him away, right? We'll kind of accept him, right? So, um, but yeah, it was. I mean, it was a cool experience for sure,
Yeah.
right? So,
That's rad.
and I was super jealous because, and this is gonna sound bad, right? But being jealous at this point, but Origins was supposed to be where I was this year, right? That was the big convention that I wanted to go to. Was I wanted to go to Origins,
Yeah.
and that was the trip that I had planned. This international trip that I went on was originally scheduled for May,
Ah,
right?
okay.
So we were gonna go in May, and then I was gonna come home and go to Origins, and because of we had to have a certain number of people between combined groups to make this tour work,
Yeah.
they ended up pushing us into June, and I'm like, oh, it fell right during Origins,
Mm.
or right before, or right after, and you got to go. And I think to kind of segue into Origins with you a little bit, because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, I find it incredibly interesting, right? So you and I've kind of been learning a lot from you, right? And Love Thy Nerd and
Yes,
being
sir.
out there and being in mission and being at a table with somebody and being able to have those conversations and things like that. But I think there's something to be said about just the awareness that Joe Bragg, has when he's at the table with somebody, right? The attention that you're paying to the person, right? And not just the conversation that you're having, but you had something happen at Origins that I think mirrored something that I saw happen at Grand Con, that mirrored something that I saw or that I heard happened at Gen Con, and like these things that you have happened. And when I kind of looked at it, because I know we have a mutual friend that says, why don't I ever have these conversations? Why doesn't this happen to me? Right. And I think I've kind of like, as I started looking at it, I started putting it together. I'm like, there's just this innate attention that you're paying to. There's something on this person's heart. You can see it on them. You can feel it, right? You can, and you break that ice a little bit of like, hey, like you
Yeah.
seem distracted or whatever. Like you have those conversations. But you had a great story that I was hoping you would share while I'm
Well,
taking my turn, letting you talk for a little
yeah,
bit.
nah, no, you're good. Two things. One, I muted this so you couldn't hear my sneeze, forgetting that I'm recording on OBS, so that everyone's gonna totally hear the blowing of my nose. So whatever. I was like, oh, I muted it,
Well,
but then I saw it come over here. I'm like, that's dumb. Second thing, let's talk about how awesome it would be for a Viking that's just like, I'm surrendering my life to Jesus. Like I just picture
right.
Vikings like, oh, to like now being on fire for Christ. Like, you will accept the Lord Jesus or I will use this axe. Like, yo, like, bro, it doesn't work that way. Sorry. Total side note. So I'm not sure which story you want me to share. I think I know the one, like in regards to the church hurt and stuff.
Yeah,
Or is this
yeah, that
okay?
was the one I was reading where you were talking with
Yeah.
a
Okay.
lady who
So
was
through my
kind of
through my
opened up her
newsletter.
history there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Well, first off, man, praise God. It's by His grace. My wife noticed this. I don't notice these things because for me, it's just how I live, right? Like, so I don't pick up on it. But my wife one day was like, she's like, you have an ability to be able to read between the lines. You have an ability to be able to like really see somebody. And I don't take that lightly. And I think it's years of just, again, youth ministry, but also just I pray about that, man. Like I ask God to help me see the person, right? Like I don't want to just have a conversation. I want to be able to understand the nuances in that conversation, know where I'm going to go, learn how to read the room, learn how to read the individual. I pray a lot about that, man. That when I sit down at the table, people would see Christ in and through me, and that I would see people, right? That God would break my heart for what breaks His. That I would be able to see the people I'm interacting with, and again, reading the room. Like, I don't always jump into what I see. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not always like, hey, I feel this, so therefore I'm going to start leaning into it. I want those things to happen a little bit more naturally. Um, and this is like the science and the art, right? Like, you can teach the science, it's harder to teach the art. I believe the art is teachable, or it is able to be grown into. But there's the science and the art of sitting down at the table with somebody, right? The science is I know the mechanical things I need to do. I have to ask them where they're from, what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. How do they get here? What's their favorite game? Like, that's the science. The art is listening in between those things, figuring out where someone may or may not be at, walking through this process, and being able to, like, again, have that tact, read the room, understand the situation, move into those spaces, and allow God to lead the conversation. In this particular case, bro, it was wild. So, like, I wear these bracelets, dude, and this is so funny to me. This is a part of the story I didn't put in my newsletter because there's no way to, like, write this out, but it was so funny. Earlier in the day, it's like I forget I wear these things. I forget they're on my wrist, right? And earlier in the day, I'm looking at my bracelets, and I'm like, man, I always forget these things are here. I'm like, that's pretty cool, you know, whatever. And I noted my bracelets for the first time in forever because, like, I just wear them. One of which says, Jesus loves you. And that'll matter to the story. Well, like, basically I'm teaching, like, they come up to the all play booth and they're like, hey, like, first time at a convention, not really sure what's going on, don't know what to do. You look like a fun guy, teach us how to play a game. It was like, okay. And so I was going to teach them River Valley, but then next thing you know, I was like, hey, hold on, I got to go grab something. I turn around and they're now at the high society table. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, this one looked more like what we wanted to play. Cool. So the two people that were there as well, they hadn't played, so I was like, I'll teach y'all. So I teach them High Society, and we're having a great time. They play through it twice. That game is a blast, by the way. I don't know how Kenichia keeps doing it. That dude is just like a straight-up genius. But that game it's fun. And we're having a great time or whatever, just laughing, yucking it up. And in the middle of that teach, she's like, oh, love thy nerd, that's cool. You know, and I was like, oh, yeah, thanks. I didn't say anything else other than, like, cool, yeah, I agree. And then we're just playing High Society, but then her and her friend were like, yo, like, what else can you teach us? We just want something simple, something accessible. Well, right next to it was mountain goats, and I'm like, it doesn't get much simpler or accessible than mountain goats, right?
Roll dice, move a goat.
Right.
Yeah.
So I teach them mountain goats. We're having this great time. We get to the end of the game, and the lady was like, hey, I see your shirt, love thy nerd, and I see you're wearing your bracelet, and your bracelet says Jesus loves you. She's like, so you're a Christian? And I was like, yeah, I follow Jesus. And she's like, so what's Love Thy Nerd? And I basically just said, hey, Love Thy Nerd is a faith-based 501c3 nonprofit, right? Like, we go out and we exist to share the love of Jesus. And I said something to her that, like, kind of triggered something positive, where I was like, we really want to be, like, welcoming in this space and want to create that environment. She's like, I love that. And I was like, oh, okay. But the way she said it indicated to me there's more to this lady's story than her just asking me if she's a Christian, right? And I was like, so I basically, we start having the convo, and she's, all of a sudden, the tenor of the conversation changed. Now, mind you, the person that she was with was in the LGBTQ family, right? And so, like, you could tell they were getting a little uncomfortable with the conversation. They weren't uncomfortable with me. I just think they're uncomfortable with the conversation in general. And so eventually they got up and walked away. And she said, hey, like, he's probably not upset with you in any way. Like, you've said nothing wrong. She's like, he's just uncomfortable in that conversation. I'm like, hey, totally get it. Like, that's fine. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that, like, he would still be able to have, sit down and we could chat about things. But, like, I totally understand, right? But either way, that led into, like, her talking about, like, just these years of church hurt and, like, what happened with her husband and how, like, he basically just up and divorced her. And she shared all of it. Like, she started, like, really opening up and, like, very vulnerable and about, like, what had happened and all these kind of things. And there was a point where I started like literally I told her I said I'm a little bit emotive, and so I started like actually crying for her because of some of the things that she was saying about how the church treated her. And again, I don't think she was just telling me the bad things. She was sharing like why they were responding. Like she was very open about like I was making these decisions. They were the wrong decisions. However, the way that my community handled it was like atrocious, right? Like they just threw it to the curb. There was no walking with her. It was pretty much just like ship up or shape out, or what? No, shape up or ship out, whatever that phrase is. And basically, yeah, it was very intense. And normally I wouldn't. I mean, it's funny. I say I normally wouldn't, but I actually normally do. I have no problem asking somebody if I can pray for them. How they respond is going to be on them, right? If they say no or I'd prefer not to, like then cool, like I can pray for them whether they want me to or not, right? But like,
I'll pray for you when you walk away. Then it's
right.
fine. Yeah.
And there's a funny story about that I can segue to after. But either way, reading the room, hearing the conversation, trying to be able to walk with her through some things. We talked for a good like 45 minutes, and we brought the scripture in, and we're having conversation, and we're just talking through these things at a mountain goats table, right? Like we're playing mountain goats had just wrapped up, so we're at all play. And it was just the right time, right conversation. We're just going through the process, and I was like, hey, like, her name's Amanda. I said, Amanda, can I pray for you? And she said, yeah, I'd appreciate that. And again, with all the church hurt that she has, again, you don't necessarily jump right into that with somebody, but it was just, again, reading the room, reading the conversation. It felt like that was something I could do. And so then we prayed right there, like literally just over mountain goats, prayed. And I just prayed that God would, restore, one, her faith in him, and two, her faith, that he would return the things the locust has eaten, right? That she would find community again, that she would ultimately find her satisfaction in Christ, but that she would then be able to also get the things back that she was really longing for. Because she wanted that community and just all these kind of things, right? And if you want community and the church kicks you out, you're gonna find community elsewhere. So just and by the end, I was done praying, and she was like, Joe, just thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, and thanks for just listening. That's it. And it was like, hey, Luke Phillip.
Luke,
what's up, Luke? Luke, welcome. What up, dude? Welcome to our first ever, live BGA that's also being recorded through OBS, which will also be somewhere else later. You just came in the origin story.
Oh snap! Wait, this is like meant for people to drop in, right?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. No, get out,
okay.
Luke. You sound like you're in the bathroom.
Oh, he left.
That was good. You sound like you're in the bathroom though, so don't show your screen, whatever you do, right? Like, yeah.
I'm not. I'm at my church right now.
Cool.
In one of the offices doing.
Just to make sure we're clear there, that was a story about origins, not Joe's origin story, right? Like.
Sorry about origins.
I could have seen it go both ways.
Yeah,
either way. Yeah. So either way, man, it was dope. It was just a really cool, powerful experience to be able to just sit down and pray. She was really moved, and we had just really great conversation. So yeah.
Sometimes, man, I think that's amazing to me. The power of that, right? I don't think I'd ever really kind of thought about, there's things that you say in church and things that happen that you don't really catch the power of it until you're in the right moment or whatever, right? And I work in technology. I'm a programmer. I work at an IT firm. I used to work for a very large IT firm. They had a Christian business persons group that we could go to once a month, and we did a Bible study and we had lunch together and stuff. And I never really thought about the fact until like we prayed there one day, and here I was like, being, whether you're at a game convention or you're in the IT space or science space, there's spaces in this world that it feels very out there to be Christian, right? Like you have to take a step, right? And I didn't really think about it until I think it was the following Sunday. I was in church, and it comes to the point where we're going to say the Lord's Prayer, and the pastor always leads into the Lord's Prayer with, and in our faith we are bold to pray. and then our Father, right? And I don't think I ever really kind of paid attention to the like we are bold to pray until I was in that situation where saying that prayer felt bold.
Yeah.
Right. It felt like, because you say it in church, right? And you're surrounded by, however many, couple 100,000, however, depending on the size of your church, right? Of Christian people. So it doesn't feel that bold at that moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you're saying, over mountain goats, right? When you just had somebody walk away from the table because they were maybe just a little uncomfortable with the fact that we were discussing a Christian topic, not angry or upset or anything, just like, hey, this isn't the conversation for me. I'm going to move on, right? But then to be able to just stop and say, hey, let's pray, right? And to just do that right there, and to have that power and that boldness to just say, this is why we're here. Like that's such a powerful moment, man.
Well, praise God. And again, like even after that individual came back over, like when we were done praying and stuff, they came back over, and I just connected with them over like a Magic the Gathering, which I don't play Magic, but they had a Avatar Magic set, and I was like, oh, are you an Avatar fan? They're like, yeah. And we started talking about Avatar because my boys just watched all 3 seasons like of the animated series, and so we were like running through it all and just had a really great conversation and laughing. And I think to me that also shows Christ in a different way, right? Like I didn't have to have the conversation with them, right? But they already know, okay, he's a Christian, but he's not treating me poorly because I'm a part of that community. He's not doing like he's still engaging. We're still having conversation. We're still laughing. And so like for me that was also a great thing too. Like so when he came back, it was like, yo, Avatar, like love that. Let's chat a little bit about it and have conversations about Avatar. And I was telling him how my youngest son was over here trying to be an airbender. Like,
and that speaks to that. It speaks to that moment that it's, there was an uncomfortableness with the conversation, right? But it wasn't an uncomfortableness with you, and being able to continue to have the conversation later with them, right? That's, to me, and I know like you're my mission leader when we're out there, right?
Sure.
But to me, that's what we're out there doing, right? It's not just, sure, there's discipleship and there's like bringing somebody back to faith and being able to have those conversations of like, come to church with me and stuff like that. But there's also just the like, hey, this is what a Christian person is in the world, right? And just being that example of not somebody to fear. I'm not somebody that's going to attack you.
Right.
You've had the conversations with people of like, why do you hate me? Whoa, I don't hate you, right? Like let's just pause for a minute, right? But just being able to show them like, I'm just a person that cares about you, and I want to show you that I care about you, right? And if that means I care about you because you're into Avatar like my kids are, and we could build a bridge there, then let's build a bridge, right? But
100%.
Yeah, just being able to make that human connection and show that that's what we're out there trying to do as Christians, right? Is just connect with fellow humans. So.
Well, none of it was forced. I didn't bring up the fact that I'm following Jesus. She brought it up, right? And then she started the conversation. I didn't force it on to them. It was just a natural conversation that had developed based on what she had observed. And then through there, it turned into now she's expressing the church hurt and the things that she was going through. And then that's even, like, it wasn't even anything I had said, actually, when the individual had gotten up to walk away. It was just the conversation in general that, like, when she was saying what she was saying and all that. And
Final
so,
flip.
Yeah, I know, right? This is where you win and I lose.
Final flip. This is where we tie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is exactly it. I don't think I got what I needed, but we'll see. I still couldn't get rid of my caterpillar. I just didn't have it in the right spaces at the right time. So
back in the rabbit. So
well done, though.
What do we get?
You finished the 22 to your 38. That's what it's like to be the loser among losers.
Oh,
that's all right. But yeah, man, and like again, for everything with like LTN in particular, like this is about creating, like, it's natural. It's not like you don't force anything. Like, to me, when we start forcing the conversation, that's when everything starts to go like south, right? Where it's like we don't want to force it. You just want to allow things to happen naturally, and it's okay if it doesn't, right? Like if she said, "Oh, LTN, Jesus loves you," bracelet, you're a Christian, and the conversation ended there. It ended there, right? Then there's no real need for me to try to be like, well, you said I was a Christian, let's talk more about that. None of that needs to happen, right? You just let the conversation flow naturally. and this is where like I think that we kind of have some things on our head as modern day evangelicals, man. And I don't know, dude. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Luke, you can attest to this. I'm not that intelligent. Sorry, I wanted to bring Luke into the conversation.
Yeah, testify.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for putting your
dynamite drop in, Luke.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I testify to that.
No, I'm enjoying. Yeah, I'm just listening and working on stuff.
No, you're good. You're good.
I muted myself because you just hear my congestion and
that's what I'm doing. I know, bro. I went to blow my nose, muted it on the Discord, and forgot that I'm recording through OBS, and so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, we'll add it as a sound effect to the Discord later.
I love it.
You got just
yeah, that's exactly it. Because I sound like an instrument when I blow my nose. It's for real. What was I talking about? Natural. Oh yeah, So not the smartest guy in the room, but like Peter, in 1 Peter 3 in verse 15, right? He says, "Sanctify Christ as Lord in your heart," right? And then we always read this, and we read it like in the realm of apologetics. We read it in like, be prepared to make a defense for the hope that is in you. And it's almost like we stop there. But there's a couple things in that passage that are incredibly important. And I've talked about this stuff ad nauseum. So if you've heard me in any speaking context, you have heard me say this. So this should not, if you're listening in a replay or whatever, like you've heard this, I'm not coming up with anything unique or original in this moment. It's very clear. Sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, right? He's set apart. He's set aside in your heart. He's holy in your heart. You're sanctifying Christ as Lord in your heart. And it literally says, be prepared to make a defense for the hope that is in you when they ask you about that hope, right? Like Peter literally brings it into the when they ask you. And then he says, and then do so with gentleness and respect. We get into this though. We start making a defense and people haven't even asked us for it. Right? And that comes off what? It comes off as accusatory. It comes off as like in an attack versus somebody seeing the hope that's in you, somebody seeing something that's different, somebody seeing a bracelet or a shirt and being like, hey, like, what's that? Asking the question. Now you have an invitation to respond. Then they have an invitation from that response to whether they respond to that, right? They could say, cool, and it's over. Or they could say, tell me more. Or they could say what this lady said, like, man, like I got trashed by the church and I want to talk to a Christian about it, right? Like it was honestly like a Christian counseling session to some degree, right? But I just sat and listened in most cases. And like I said, it even brought me to tears because of the things I was hearing. And again, this is her side of the story, but she was also very good to share her side too, where she was like, no, I was definitely in the wrong relationship, doing the wrong things, and I get it. However, there was no move towards reconciliation. It was just get out and take your bags and leave. Like, we're done with you. And so it was like, it was much more powerful than I'm describing it even here. But like, this happened naturally because she basically said, okay, I'll bite. What's love thy nerd? I see these things. I'm assuming this. I then answer. She then wants to know more. We then start this conversation. Lands itself into this whole moment of church hurt into like, okay, this lady needs prayer. Whether she wants me to pray for her right now or whether I just need to be praying for her on my own, both are true. But like, let's see where she wants to go. So through that, I simply asked her, can I pray? Her answer could have been no. That's fine. Okay, no. 100% respect that. I just wanted to ask. Because I tell people this, and it's a weird thing. Sometimes people are like, well, you know what it's worth. And I'm like, yeah, but they don't necessarily. So I might lead in with something like, hey, for what it's worth, I'd like to pray for you. Are you okay with that? Okay. Right? Because some people, like, for them, it doesn't matter. It's got no significance, which ties into something else that happened at Origins, where a guy literally told me, you can pray for me, like you said, but like, not right now. Like, wait till I walk away, because it has no significance to me. And I said, hey, that's cool. I said, it does have significance to me, but I totally understand your position. 100%, bro. So just know, like, I'm not going to impose that. Like, cool. And we'll pray when you walk away. Like, that's fine.
And I think it goes back to two things to me, right? Like, there's one, kind of what you were talking about with Peter's words. Like, Jesus himself tells us that he wants us to be fishers of men, right?
Yep, 100%.
He didn't say go be hunters of men, right? And if you think about that, right, if you just stop and think, like, fishing is not, it's not an attacking thing. It's not go out and beat somebody over the head. It's throw it out there and see what happens. It's wearing a bracelet in hopes that somebody will ask you about it. I do the same thing, right? I have 3 or 4 kind of beaded bracelets with crosses and stuff on them that I wear. I wear a cross. I tend to wear the Love Thy Nerd shirts, stuff like that, because it does cause those conversations to happen. And to me, that's fishing, right? It's just putting something out there to see. But the second thing that it comes back to, and I think it really goes back to that LTN mission, is it's just being present, right? That lady you met at Origins that had that conversation with you, that has all this history of church hurt and all of this stuff that's happened to her. If you'd have run into her 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, you may not have been ready to have that conversation. And you might have said, she might have said, oh, you're Christian. And she might have walked away with the other 2 people, right? But it's that presence of just being there and being willing to have that conversation. And she felt it at that moment. You know, for whatever reason at that moment, she was ready to talk about it and you were there, right? And if you're not there, and it goes back to the thing you always say, and I always mess up the order that you say it, but you know, by God's grace, right? Like here I am, right? And I'm just here. And if I'm here at the right time, then I'm here at the right time. And I've seen it so many times in my life before I started doing this, that like being intentional about it and being intentional about that presence and being willing to say, like, I've seen God use me, right? Like I've seen things happen in my life and then seen things happen in my life 20 years later and been able to be fortunate enough, because not everybody is, right? But to be fortunate enough to say, that's why that happened, right? Like I get it now. I could see the plan. I could see why I had to live through that to do this, to be here for this, right? Or whatever. But now to be living intentionally that way, to be able to say, no, I'm intentionally making sure that I'm present and that I'm there. And that if God willing, somebody happens to need that connection or see that person at that moment in time, then I'm there for it, right? And if not, then hey, I was there, right? And like you said, you've had people that you've known for years at this point that you met, didn't seem like it was much of anything, even seemed almost antagonistic early on, right? And that you've seen them year after year, and now, you know, now they come up like Joe, and they talk to you and everything. And I still say it's the hat, right? I told my buddy Dave, who also runs Meeple-a-thon with me, he was up at Origins. I told him, like, hey, you got to go say hi to Joe for me. Love Thy Nerd. We love them. They're going to do some great stuff with Meeple-a-thon. Like, just go shake his hand, say hi to him, let him know who you are. And he's like, how am I going to know him? And I'm like, well, he'll be in the all play booth and he'll have a hat on kind of sideways a little bit. And when you meet him, ask him about it, because he'll tell you if it's on straight, there's probably something wrong, right? And sure enough, I think I think you guys had that exact conversation, because he come back and I asked him, I was like, did you find Joe? And he's like, yep, his hat was crooked. It was a good day. Right. So they had a ball. They were happy to meet you. But yeah,
it's great. Well, it was funny because like I happened to be calling, my wife and I hadn't been able to talk like for a couple days because like our schedules were running the opposite directions. And I was like, oh, I finally get to talk to like my wife and kids. This is going to be amazing. And so I went over to like this isolated corner. And then at the same time, Dave and Randy were doing their volunteer shift. Now they just came on shift and they were running the booth, like the entrance area or whatever, like checking people in and stuff. And so I had ran into Randy earlier in the day, and then I just couldn't place her. I'm like, I know her. I'm like, from which convention? And then I saw her again coming into the booth, and I ran it through my head. I'm like, Meeple-a-thon. And then I ran in my head, I'm like, she likes social deduction games. She likes games like Clue. I suggested consulting detectives. So I walked up and I was like, hey, like I said, I ran into her earlier. Then Dave introduced him. So I was like, oh, you're Joe from Love Thy Nerd. You have a sideways hat. Got it. Cool. You're the guy. And my name tag helped. But then I was telling Randy, I said, it took me a minute to place you, but Meeple-a-thon, and we talked about this. You helped me for a little bit with the games, and I suggested these games to you. And she was like, holy crap. I said, I couldn't remember your name, but I could certainly remember, once I figured out what convention I met you in, I could remember what our conversation was and what games I suggested. She's like, that's
awesome,
different or whatever. But to me, that stuff matters. That's kind of going back to what you said before. Like, you want to be able to do that, right? That's even why I started using BGA on my phone, where I'm like, I know I played a game with that person. What game did I play? Like, it's just a way to keep track of that stuff. It's helpful. But she was actually like moved by the fact that I remembered the game that I had suggested, right? And then I got to talking with them and just had a really great time. But it's like, yeah, and then she made the joke about the sideways hat, and she's like, I've heard if your hat is on straight that we should really like make sure you're okay. And I was like, that's probably fair.
I think that's how I worded it. I told him if you meet him and his hat's on straight, like check in on him, make sure everything's okay, see if he needs anything, right?
Sure everything's good. Yeah, and that's good. But no, so it's like it's one of those things. And if you're hearing this in any capacity and you're in the Kansas City, Missouri or surrounding areas, come and assist on mission with LTN because we need people. There's no question. So trying to get a team for the hot games, but yeah, man, it was a dope trip. And like I said, even like the guy that didn't want to receive prayer from us, one of the missionaries was like, dude, like that was one of the doper moments I've had as an LTN missionary, because he saw it. He was like, you just asked and the guy said no, and you didn't freak out, you just rolled with it. He's like, hey, you just went with it. I'm like, why would I? Like the only reason why I asked him is he started telling us about cancer, and he's got throat cancer, and he's like lost all of his taste buds. He's like literally pouring out health stuff, right? Like you don't get that. It's not just a normal conversation where someone just starts always just divulging their health information. So I asked him, I was like, hey, and again, it was one of those things like, for what it's worth, like, would you be all right if I prayed for you? And the guy literally said, well, you can, just not with me here. And I was like, hey, that's fair. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then he did. He walked away, and then the three of us sat down and we just prayed for him. And to me, I'm like, what's wrong with that? Nothing. I asked because he was sharing the health information. I'm gonna walk in that. Again, like, hey, like, you know, and I just prayed like, Lord, he's, you know, what he said was, it has no significance to me. I said, Lord, show him that you are significant, right? Like, do something that only he could be like, it's those meddling kids that prayed for me, man, because he was a much older guy, you know, like whatever.
It wasn't for you and that dog.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. right. But it's like one of those things, man. Like I don't necessarily always do that, but you read the room, you read the thing. I didn't think he was going to accept the prayer when I even asked him. You know, I mean, it wasn't like I was going in like assuming. I don't ever assume that. I just offer it, because if somebody, like, let's say, you know, I'm sitting down with somebody, and whatever their religious belief is, if they believe that firmly in it and they don't ask me, to some degree, I'm like kind of offended, right? Like, like it's almost like, hey, like, you made it very clear that, you know, you're this, that, or the other thing, and yet you offered nothing. To me, I'm like, that's kind of weird, you know, whatever. But
I think,
go ahead.
Well, I think sometimes there's even, I've got kind of a smaller story that, right, like you don't always get that personal, deep connection. But you know, I went to a work conference recently in Florida, and I found that I got there on Sunday. Conference didn't start till Monday, and we were right around the corner from Disney Hollywood. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go check out Star Wars, right? Like, let's go see what's going on. And as I'm packing for it, I'm like, I'm a nerd, right? I'm like, what do I wear? What am I going to wear to Disney? Like, I'm not a Disney guy, but I'm a Star Wars guy. And I've had my Love Thy Nerd shirt. And I'm like, that works, right? It even says Jedi on it. So let's do it. Yep. Right. So I wear the shirt. I go there that night and I'm walking around. I'm sending you pictures like, check it out, man. Look where I'm at. Right. But I'm walking around, and at one point, like, it's those moments that you get that's not, like I said, you don't always get a deep connection, but you know you connected because somebody, and I don't know who, I know it was a guy, but he's like other side of the crowd. Like there's a like a fenced in area between us.
Yeah.
And he yells, he's like, "Love thy nerd." And I like kind of perked up because I realized, oh, he's talking to me, right? Yeah. And I turned around and he's like, "Thank you for loving me. Praise God." And he just walked away, right?
Let's go.
And I'm just like, what is this, right? Like, is this somebody that, like, I have no idea. Was it like somebody in the BGA group? Was it somebody like, is it a CBG member? Is it somebody that knows Love Thy Nerd? Did he just see the shirt and he thought it was cool, right? Right. I have no idea, but it's a cool moment to just have, like, you know, you just kind of wave at him like, praise God, man. Or
Love that.
And it's cool to just be out there and have things like that happen. And I think when I first started going on mission with you guys and started talking about stuff and doing the CBG stuff and kind of getting to know Love Thy Nerd more, I was intrigued by this being in nerd culture as a Christian. And the more that I'm doing it, the more that I'm seeing this culture that is already there, right? And it's really kind of amazing. What's up, Grant? I see you, right? But yeah, to see that, like, the number of people that I start having those conversations like you have, right? And I think there's me and a couple other guys that were like, we really want to have that deep conversation like Joe gets to have, right? And then you have this moment where you're just like, oh yeah, like love thy nerd, right? Like, we're a Christian based group, and they're like, yeah, man, like I go to church over here, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, cool, right? Like you're Christian already, so like it's not
Sure.
right, and there's no deep story or anything, but it's just like there's an attraction there of just like, oh yeah, we want to be around other Christian people, and we get that opportunity too. We meet a lot of good. I think we meet a lot of good people on that are walking through life that need to hear a little bit more, and some people that just they're right there with you and they're walking alongside of you, right? And they just want to connect a little bit, right? So.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like people want to be loved. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be valued. They want to be cared for, right? Like who doesn't? Like this is the thing I think like sometimes we forget as Christ followers where it's like, dude, like,
right?
Like lead out with that stuff, right? Lead out with meeting people in their space. Lead out with like the, what do you need questions versus like, I've been doing this even more in parenting. Like when my kids start to melt down, my first question or my first reaction, and I've had to learn this, right? Because like we all bring our own junk into parenting, but it's like, yo, like my first question, especially to like my youngest, is what do you need right now? Right? Like
right.
what are, because he's having a hard time communicating whatever's going on, and his brain is just going pow. So it's like, what do you need right now? It might be I need to be heard. It might be I need this thing. It might be I'm hungry. Like the other day, he lost it, and we realized, like, oh my gosh, like the way our day's gone, he hasn't probably eaten as much as he normally does, so he's legit hungry. It took us
angry,
it took us a minute to figure that out, but it was like, got it, he's hungry, right? Like, and he's got asthma, and so it's like, as you're breathing, like you have to go through the things, but it's starting with like, what do you need? Well, before I ever start, it's connect before you correct, right? Like,
right.
I'm going to connect before I start, like, correcting you. Or I'm going to, another phrase I heard actually at Youth for Christ Camp as we were working on stuff in the leadership is connect before you correct, but also curiosity before accusation, right? Like, I'm going to have a curious spirit about me. I'm going to ask questions far before I start accusing, far before I start correcting, all these kind of things. And to me, it's like, man, like, gosh, we need to get back to this, right, as the church at large, because we have just assumed and we have just walked in things, and yes, some things are blatant.
As humanity is large, man.
Yes,
like
100%. I don't disagree.
I
I don't disagree. I just feel like the church should shift the trend, right? Like it should start with us because we claim to know better, right? We claim to walk in the truth of Christ. And so we ought be the trendsetters in this, where people will look at us and be like, okay, you're different. They're asking what? The hope that is in us, because they see it. Jesus says that, like, to literally live as salt and light, so that they will see your good works and glorify our Father in heaven, so that they'll taste and see that God is in fact good. And like, so like, as we're walking through this, like, we jump right into correction mode. Again, the world doesn't profess to know Jesus. They don't profess the standard, we do. So we're not going to hold them to the standard. That's God's job. Our job is to point them to the standard, and we're going to do that by connecting. We're going to do that by meeting people in the spaces. We're going to do that by walking with people. And that's like been a passion point of mine for the last 4 or so years, longer, but last 4 years I've really leaned in, just looking at the parallels between discipleship and evangelism, and walking and doing life with people, and how transformative that is. In the discipleship space, but also in the evangelism space, because that's what working with teens, Bill. You know how many of those kids come to Christ and you ask them like, well, what did God do in your life that like made it, like when it clicked, like what was going on? And dude, if I had $1 for every time you'd hear this, is they would say, well, I saw people genuinely living it out and genuinely caring for me and genuinely loving me, and the words matched what they were doing, and that spoke to me, right? Like that became very clear, like y'all are really invested in this, like Jesus has actually changed your life. I want what you have, and I see it lived out. Maybe there's more to this. And then they start entertaining it, because there's a curiosity that builds where it's like, yeah, you actually walk it out. It doesn't mean you're perfect, but you walk it out. And holy smokes, you know, that matters. It turns out to people. They want to see that. It's the rubber road stuff, man. But like, I don't know, man. It's
But man, I'm looking forward to this. I think we're gonna do this weekly, right? We're gonna try to get together, play a couple games. I didn't realize you started a rematch. We could have been playing a second round of Fliptoons, but
yeah.
but no, no. I'm looking forward to playing games, getting into some of these discussions and stuff.
Wait, so we're actually playing games and not just chatting?
Well, so it was kind of both. Like we started to, and then I realized that you can on the OBS when we record it and you see the playback, you'll actually see the game that we played. However, you're not gonna see that in this setting yet. We have to figure this stuff out.
You can share your screen from.
Yeah,
he was running into a problem where like when he shared his screen, Discord would pop up and tell him, give him like a message saying we're pausing things because we're conserving resources or whatever, right? So
yes. Yeah. So like,
but as much as I'm looking forward to it and stuff, I am I got a day job, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, we're up against.
We do have to run up against the time here, but I just wanted to say while we're still recording, right? Like it's a great time. I'm looking forward to doing this more here in CBG and with Joe and that, and hopefully we'll have more people drop in. We'll play some games. We'll keep talking about Faith, right? Yeah. So thanks, Joe. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.